I was sitting in the middle of a high-level board meeting, surrounded by some of the most powerful minds in tech, when my phone buzzed quietly on the table. I glanced down. It was a text from my sister Kate. "Emergency family dinner tonight. Dad's furious about your LinkedIn. Says you're throwing your life away. Fair warning, they've prepared PowerPoints. 7 p.m. sharp." I stared at the message for a second, biting back a smile. Around me, 12 senior executives discussed the final details of a $3.8 billion merger deal. If only my family knew that while they were planning an intervention to get me a real job, I was actually running one of the most advanced technology companies in the world. My CFO, Marcus Anderson, must have noticed my brief distraction. "Everything okay?" he asked gently. "Just family stuff," I said with a small shrug, slipping my phone back into my jacket. "Let's get back to quantum computing." Later that evening, I pulled into my parents' massive circular driveway in my modest, slightly dusty Honda Civic. I parked it right between my dad's shiny Maserati and my mom's polished Mercedes. The house hadn't changed, it was still that grand Georgian mansion in the wealthiest part of town, all white columns and perfectly trimmed hedges. It looked exactly as it had the day I left it 3 years ago. Back then, they thought I was wasting my life. I'd left a high-paying consulting job and a shiny Stanford MBA behind to find myself. In their words, I had gone rogue. In reality, I had gone quiet, and very, very strategic. Maria, our longtime housekeeper, opened the front door before I could even ring the bell. "Miss Alexandra," she whispered like a warning, "they've been rehearsing their speeches all afternoon." I gave her a small smile and stepped inside. I'd dressed carefully for the occasion, ripped jeans from a thrift shop and an old sweater that, while it looked worn, actually came from a luxury Italian designer. I had chosen my costume well. I looked like a struggling entrepreneur. That's what they expected to see. The entire family was gathered in the formal dining room. Dad sat at the head of the table, his back straight and jaw tight. Mom was beside him with a thick folder in front of her. Kate and her husband Bradley sat across from my brother Peter and his wife Victoria. The big TV on the wall was tuned to CNBC, as usual. "Alexandra," my mother said, standing up to greet me with a kiss on the cheek, "you look comfortable." I gave her a polite smile and took my seat at the far end of the long table, exactly where they wanted me, isolated and ready for a lecture. Behind Dad was a projector screen. That alone told me this wasn't going to be a casual dinner. This was a full presentation. Dad cleared his throat and launched straight in. "Let's be direct. Your behavior lately is concerning. This startup, Quantum Solutions," I said softly. "This project of yours has dragged on long enough. 2 years of secrecy, of vague descriptions about some breakthrough technology. Your peers are doing real things with their lives." Kate immediately jumped in. "Madison Thompson just made partner at McKinsey, and Christopher Lee is heading Goldman's Asia division." Peter chimed in too. "Yeah, exactly." Mom slid a folder across the table. "I've taken the liberty of putting together some options. Harrison at Morgan Stanley asked about you personally." I flipped open the folder casually, pretending to study the job listings. In reality, I was checking the time on my quantum-powered watch, a prototype not yet released to the public, worth more than their entire house. Dad clicked his PowerPoint remote. "The support stops now," he said sternly. "No more rent assistance." "I already pay my rent," I said calmly. "I live in the Innovation District now." Victoria scoffed. "With what income? Everyone knows founders don't make money early on." If only they knew. That apartment was just a decoy. I owned the building it was in, actually. I owned most of the Innovation District through different holding companies, and I lived in a penthouse that took up the top 3 floors of the tallest tower in the city. Dad continued, undeterred, "Your trust fund will be frozen until you demonstrate financial responsibility, by taking a real job." I resisted the urge to laugh. That trust fund was a drop in the ocean compared to what my company made in interest every single hour. Mom leaned forward. "We're worried, Alexandra. This secrecy, this hiding, what is it that Quantum Solutions even does?" Before I could answer, something shifted on the TV. A red banner slid across the bottom of the screen. "Breaking news, Wall Street Journal to reveal identity of mysterious Quantum Solutions founder." My phone buzzed again. It was Marcus. "All systems go." Article dropping in 3, 2, 1. Dad was mid-sentence. "No more support until you," but stopped as every phone in the room lit up at once. The TV anchor's voice cut through the room. We now know the identity of the person behind Quantum Solutions, the company, valued at over $12 billion and making waves in quantum computing and national defense. The founder, 28-year-old Alexandra Anderson. They all turned to look at the screen. My headshot appeared on TV. My bio, my company's achievements, NASA contracts, defense partnerships, words like billionaire, revolutionary, and youngest self-made tech CEO in history. Mom's glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the marble floor. Dad dropped the PowerPoint remote. Kate's phone landed in her soup. Peter just stared, stunned. That's not possible. You work in a co-working space. You drive a Civic. I pulled out my real phone, the one I didn't use at family events, and let the notifications pour in. Actually, I said, standing slowly, I own that co-working space, and the entire building, and most of the neighborhood. Bradley's face was ghost white. $12 billion. $14. I corrected, that number's from last week. Victoria, pale now, read aloud from her screen, the Pentagon just signed a $5 billion contract. They're calling it a historic breakthrough in quantum encryption. Oh my God. Mom whispered, why didn't you tell us? I met her eyes, calm and steady, because you never asked. You were too busy telling me I was making a mistake. Another buzz, the President's Chief of Staff, requesting a high-priority briefing. I need to go, I said, slinging my bag over my shoulder, but before I leave, I pulled out 6 envelopes and dropped them on the table. These are NDAs. If you want to know what Quantum Solutions actually does, you'll need to sign. Kate blinked. NDAs? For family? Especially for family. I smiled. After all, Dad, you always taught me to protect my assets. The anchor on TV kept talking. Quantum revolution, national security, the woman who rewrote the rules. I paused at the door. Oh, and about that trust fund? Don't worry, I donated it last year to fund scholarships for quantum research. All $12 million. Figured someone else could use it. Then I walked out, leaving behind the PowerPoints, the assumptions, and the shocked silence. The next morning, my real office was alive with energy. Calls from global leaders, NASA, defense agencies, journalists. My executive team handled it all. The president wants a private meeting, Marcus said, handing me another espresso. And, you might want to know, Anderson Global's stock dropped 12% since yesterday. That made me laugh. 2 years ago, I offered Dad a full modernization plan. He called it unproven and told me to learn how business works. My phone lit up again. Kate. I finally picked up. The country club is losing its mind, she said. Mrs. Worthington's husband passed on investing in your first round. She's not well. Unfortunate, I said, watching our stock price climb even higher. And Mom's proud, but also furious. She's redecorating with magazines that have your face on the cover while crying that she missed everything. I looked at one of the magazine covers on my desk. The Quantum Queen, How Alexandra Anderson Changed the World. I'd told them I was at a job fair when I shot that cover. Speaking of surprises, I told Kate, you may want to warn Dad, the Financial Times is publishing a piece tomorrow. What kind? I smiled, the one titled Legacy CEO's Billion-Dollar Blunder. It's about how he rejected my company's partnership offer. There was a long silence on the other end. Dad's going to learn something important, she said softly. Yes, I said, sipping my espresso, I believe he will. I turned to Marcus, my most trusted ally through all of this. So, how's Operation Legacy coming along? He grinned and pulled up a set of encrypted files on his screen. Right on track. Through our network of shell companies, we've quietly bought up 28% of Anderson Global's shares. We've got another 15% lined up to buy next week. I stood up and straightened my custom-made Armani suit, more expensive than the yearly rent of the fake studio apartment I had used to keep a low profile. Make it 20%. I want to speed things up. The next few hours went by fast. Everything was falling into place. The White House meeting was confirmed. NASA had expanded their contracts with us. Our research team had just announced 3 major breakthroughs in quantum computing. As a result, our stock price shot up another 8%. Then came the call I had been waiting for. Dad, I answered. Alexandra, his voice sounded strained. The board is meeting tomorrow. Our biggest investors are losing confidence in our technology, in the future of the company. How bad is it? Bad enough that some are suggesting a change in leadership. I paused, letting his words hang in the air. I thought about all the times he had dismissed me at family dinners, saying I should stick to safe business ideas instead of chasing what he called sci-fi nonsense. I might have a solution, I said calmly. Quantum Solutions could step in and make a strategic investment, but I have conditions. What kind of conditions? Total management change, full integration of our technology, a new board. There was a long silence. You planned this, he said finally, all of it. Dad, you were the one who taught me how to think like this, how to look for weakness in a market, how to act before others even realize what's happening. On my screens, I watched the results of our latest quantum processor test. The very tech he once laughed at was already reshaping the world. I just used those lessons better than you expected. The board meets at 10 a.m., he said after a pause. I know, I'll be there. Oh, and Dad, wear your best suit, CNBC will be filming. After the call ended, Marcus walked in with an update. Your mom's been calling every newspaper in town trying to explain why she never mentioned her daughter runs a tech company. Peter's wife is suddenly updating her LinkedIn to highlight her close connection to you. And that cousin who used to make fun of your science project at Easter, he just sent 17 job applications to our HR team. I smiled as I adjusted my quantum-powered watch, worth more than their salaries combined. Schedule a family dinner for next week, my treat. Marcus looked surprised. The Michelin-starred place they always wanted to go? No, the one I bought last month, and make sure the private dining room has a demo of our latest holographic display. I want them to finally see what they've been mocking all these years. As the sun set, I reviewed the final prep for the board meeting. Quantum code ran across my screen, tech that would soon change space travel, AI, and possibly even life itself. Just then, my phone buzzed. A message from our lunar lab, Project Helios is ahead of schedule. Another ping, our encryption team cracked a breakthrough in teleportation theory. A third, our AI division had working models for consciousness transfer. Marcus, I called out before he left, one last thing, that list of companies that rejected us over the past 2 years? He paused. Yes? Buy them, all of them. That's 27 companies across 6 continents. 28, actually. Anderson Global just made the list. I looked out the window. The lights of the city glowed beneath the empire I'd built while everyone else thought I was just lost, wasting time. It was time to show them what leadership really looked like. The morning of the board meeting came with perfect timing. Rain splashed across the windows of my Maybach as it rolled up to Anderson Global's headquarters, the same place where, 2 years ago, I'd been laughed out of the building after pitching my unrealistic startup idea. Now, the security guard nearly tripped over himself trying to open the door for me. MS, Anderson, we've been expecting you. Good, I handed him a tablet. Your current security has 17 holes. My AI found them last night. Fix them. Inside, the lobby was buzzing. CNBC had cameras everywhere. Bloomberg reporters hovered near the elevators. The company's stock was dropping fast. Meanwhile, Quantum Solutions was soaring. My heels clicked on the marble floor as I walked to the executive elevator, the one Dad had once said was only for real business people, the same one he told me not to use until I knew what I was doing. On the 50th floor, my sister Kate met me in a panic. Alex, wait, can we talk? The family's falling apart. Mom's been crying. Dad's about to learn the difference between legacy and vision, I said, glancing at my watch. The board meets in 15 minutes. You should get ready. Get ready for what? She asked. The future. Upstairs, board members whispered nervously. Some of Dad's oldest allies avoided eye contact. Peter stood by the coffee machine, nervously refreshing his stock app. Mom stood quietly nearby, flawless as always, except now with real worry on her face. Alexandra, please, whatever this is. It's already done, I said. Marcus stepped in, holding the paperwork. We filed at dawn. Inside the boardroom, everything went still as I took my seat, not as a guest this time, but at the head of the table. The board chair cleared his throat. We're here to discuss the future of. I stood up and opened my laptop. The room's screens came to life with my presentation. Actually, the future is already here. I looked around at the faces that had once dismissed me. In the last week, your stock has dropped 37%. You've fallen behind on AI, cybersecurity, and innovation. Your entire infrastructure is outdated. Dad started to speak. Let me finish, I said. Quantum Solutions has the technology to fix all of it, if we lead the company. Then I gave them the final blow. As of this morning, Quantum Solutions owns 53% of Anderson Global. Silence. This isn't an offer, it's a notification. The merger is complete. A press release goes out in 3 minutes. The room erupted. You can't do this, one board member shouted. This is business, I replied calmly. The market believes in us. Our stock is already up 15%, and we haven't even shown them everything yet. I showed the final slide, a new leadership chart, with me at the top. I looked straight at my father. You always said Anderson Global would be my inheritance. I just didn't wait around. Within an hour, I signed the final documents. By noon, I was CEO of both Quantum Solutions and Anderson Global. I turned to my family. About dinner tonight. Dinner? Kate was stunned. After everything that just happened? Yes, I own the restaurant now, and the building, and most of this block. Mom stepped forward. Why didn't you tell us what you were doing? I looked at her kindly, but firmly. I tried. You didn't listen. You called it a hobby. Well, my hobby just redefined the entire tech industry. I grabbed my things for the press conference. Dinner's at 8, don't be late. Forbes wants a family photo for next month's cover. As I walked away, Dad called after me. When did you become so ruthless? I paused. You taught me, Dad. I just listened more carefully than you thought. The elevator doors closed behind me. My phone buzzed. Stocks were soaring. Marcus handed me my schedule. Should I hire security for the family dinner? I smiled. Just make sure the photographers get my good side. This is what a modern empire looks like. The sun was setting as my car pulled away from the building, my building now. I saw my family watching from the window. But this time, I wasn't leaving in shame. I wasn't in a borrowed car. This time, I was driving into the future, one I'd built with my own hands. And this time, they had no choice but to see it.